Hello and welcome to PRSay. This is the official podcast for the Houston chapter of Public Relations Society of America. And I'm your host, Veronica Sofer. I am thrilled to host this show because I get an opportunity to meet the amazing members that we have in the Houston chapter of PRSA, where we are all doing phenomenal work. We are working as storytellers. We are working as people who are focused on amazing projects that are doing great things for our community. And I've got two guests today that are going to talk about that. So we'll bring them on in just a second. But before we do that, I want to take care of some housekeeping. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of PRSay. And if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, drop us some comments and my guests and I will be sure to connect. So with that, I'm going to bring on my guests. I have Kacey Wilkins and Alexis Vargas joining us. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hi.
So excited to have you guys on. First of all, I want you each to introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about how you got into PR. And then we're going to talk about Powered for Good, Powered On For All Texans, because that's so important today. So Kacey, why don't you go first and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Great. Well, I've actually been in public relations for the majority of my career. I have always found really great opportunities and really great work with various nonprofits, public sector. I currently work for the Houston Advanced Research Center, which is an independent research organization based in the Woodlands. So as far as public relations go, a lot of the work that I do ties into local communities and local initiatives. So in my role at this organization, I help make those connections between the research and actually what happens and can impact and benefit communities.
That's great. That's awesome. Alexis, what about you?
Hi, I'm Alexis Vargas, the Latinx publicist here in Houston, and my PR journey started actually when I did the Disney College program. If you can see around, there's a lot of Disney-inspired items in my office. I worked for the largest entertainment company in the world, and then seeing everything that they were doing at the parks, I was like, what would it be to work not just behind the scenes, but doing something PR related? And I moved back to Houston. I switched my career and got into public relations. I did integrated communication, combining advertising, PR, and marketing. And then I discovered my purpose of wanting to work a lot with my Latino community, my queer community, and a lot of the resources that we have available here in Houston.
Fantastic. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, we treat PRSA as an opportunity to get to know each other and talk about the projects that we're working on. So why don't we dive right in and talk about Powered for Good, Powered On For All Texans?
You bet. I'll go ahead and start, Alexis. I'll kick it off and give an overview of the project and what it meant. And then, of course, definitely want to hear from Alexis because he was a great partner in helping to launch through the public information campaign for this project. So Powered for Good actually is a U.S. Department of Energy funded initiative. And really what it sought to do in its product motivation was to sort of help Texans from lower income communities learn more about how to choose their electricity provider. So although the cost of solar and wind power are at all-time lows, low-income Texans often are paying more. So the public information piece behind this and sort of the campaign and why we reached out to Alexis is the idea that we needed to help share this information with more Texans, a greater and more, sort of more diverse audience. And we felt as though there wasn't the opportunity that existed to really reach those key members that we wanted to target for this particular project. So we started off with sort of a website, and we did a lot of, the project did a lot of research and a lot of analysis on why is it that certain communities weren't able to access. In the deregulated Texas market, you all know that people can select their own energy provider. So the idea is, how can you help the consumer better understand what those opportunities are and how to act on them? Mm-hmm. And so in Houston, there were certain neighborhoods that obviously were a part of the deregulated market and that they could select their own energy provider, but many of them were not. We're not taking advantage of those opportunities in price. And I don't know if any of you are in a deregulated market. I was, and it was very confusing to find, like, how do you find your electricity provider? You call and you're placed with a broker, and sometimes they get you a great deal and sometimes they don't. And so Powered for Good really served as a service for these communities to help identify what those opportunities might be. And so as we started to develop the materials and the campaign, Alexis had worked previously with us on other campaigns. So he was the natural partner to kind of bring on and help identify the specific sort of where is the opportunity here and how can we really help position this and reach different communities. So I'm gonna turn it over to Alexis, let him tell you that story. That was great.
Yeah, thanks. So when Kacey reached out and we were talking about Powered for Good, working a lot with the Latino community, one of my biggest things is to educate and clear a lot of like that misinformation and cloudiness that we have regarding sexual gender, regarding sustainability, regarding all of the things that our different cultures are adapted to, maybe in different culture settings and in different parts of the world. But being here, there's just so much information that I feel takes a lot longer to get to our Hispanic community. And with Houston having 47.6% of Latinos here in Houston, I thought it was extremely important to also get these resources over to our Latino community. So I partner up Kacey with Adriana Gonzalez at Cámara de Empresarios Latino de Houston. I reached out to the marketing director at Telemundo Houston. I said, what could we do in getting this information out? So we ended up translating a lot of like the material with HARC. We ended up getting Dr. Carlos Gamarra, who is working, who's one of the big like powerhouses behind this project. And we were able to get him to come and have speaking opportunities at different chambers and just to reach different audiences. But for me, it was really important having that Latino aspect of the scientists being able to connect with our community and just sharing this information. I know that it's pretty easy to take advantage of someone if there's either a language barrier, if there is that misinformation of not knowing how to read your energy bill, or even how to like seek that provider. So getting that word of mouth on this campaign from Dr. Carlos Gamarra, it was very important to me to get him and like put him in places where people can start building that connection with him and Powered for Good.
Yeah, absolutely. And how long have y'all been working on this campaign?
Well, the campaign actually concluded a couple of years ago, and the resources, and I do want to mention the resources and all of the fact sheets and, the information on how to read your electrical is still available at poweredforgood.org. But yeah, it's been about a year since the funding, the contract funded has ended, but the resources are still out there and it's still ongoing, and we're still getting a lot of traffic. And I wanted to mention, so of course, like most communications professionals, I always like to dive into the metrics and identify.
That was my next question.
Did we reach anyone? This is all great because, again, Alexis worked really well with Telemundo and Univision to get the folks out. We can talk a little bit about the community events that they helped to coordinate for us and get sort of some boots on the ground and handing out our literature. But we saw traffic counts increase, and for me, I'm not someone who looks at the counts to a website and says, "Oh, great, we received a little bump here." But I really look at the user engagement, and so what we're finding is after every push he had, we followed up with the media, and through Alexis's contact, we were able to get a follow-up interview with a reporter, and they came to our building and toured the site. So all this led, as great PR does, you're able to kind of build those networks, and the story continues to fold out and sort of ripples. Yeah. But for example, our website, so people were downloading the fact sheets, they were downloading the resources, and that's what we wanted to see, because we had the low tech option, we had the printed materials at these events, but then we wanted the audience to be able to access these things ongoing. So we still see downloads and things occurring on the website, and we still want to offer it as a resource. But initially, just reaching and getting it in front of the right people was key. So having a partner and having a partnership with Spanish-speaking media outlets and with someone like Alexis was very key to making this a success that it was.
Kacey, and I love that the downloads are available in Spanish as well. So there's an entire section in Spanish. Yeah, there's an entire section on the website that you can go to, and everything from how to read your energy bill, how to look for a provider, all of that information is translated to Spanish, and it's very informational. So like anybody who wants to go on there, definitely check it out.
I love that. And what would you say? I know we're getting close to the end of our episode, but I've got so many more questions. So let me just ask the one that I think is going to resonate the most with our listeners. What is the one thing you learned from working on this campaign and seeing it through that you think other PR professionals need to know? What was your one lesson learned, your one takeaway, your big aha moment?
I'll go first. I'll say this. I mean, I think as PR professionals, we all know it's good to be flexible and kind of know when to pivot on a strategy. And a big piece for us was, how do we get our postcard mailer in the hands of people? And so we were building up our own event, and we were talking through sending out an invitation, targeting specific zip codes through a direct mail piece, which I'm still kind of, maybe I'm old school, but I still believe that direct mail has its place in communicating effectively about specific types of campaigns. But what we found is that actually, why would we do that? Why would we waste the cost? Because of course we had a very limited budget. And so we kind of pivoted, and instead of doing a direct mail piece, we ended up just providing more materials and going through with a partnership to have one of the media outlets there with their sort of ground team to help share information at a trader village event. And so that was huge. And so we were able to like pass out materials and have people, you know, greeting and talking about the program. So to me, that was probably one of the key takeaways, is always be flexible. And even if you have a plan laid out, looking at and try to determine what is the best way to reach your audience and saying, okay, well, here's another opportunity. Let's do this instead. And it worked out. So that was my takeaway.
And just really quickly, I think for me, one of the biggest aha moments was that in the Latino community, sometimes we can feel very secluded, and having, you know, Kacey reach out and just being so supportive and wanting to help my community and reach out and seeing the work that we got to do together. And as like partners, that made me like so happy, because it doesn't just have to be, oh, people are out to get you and stuff. No, people are also out to like be out there to help and support. And this is something that, you know, that we are creating opportunities for our Hispanic community. So it was beautiful, Kacey, and I thank you so much for reaching out and, you know, working on me with this project. And Veronica, thank you so much also for having us on the show and, you know, getting to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to cheer each other on. You guys, I know it took a team, but I so appreciate you sharing your experience with our audience. I love that this chapter in particular really cheers each other on and nurtures and fosters relationships. So congratulations on making another successful one. And I want all of our listeners to reach out to both of you and connect for sure.
For sure,
Yes.
for sure.
Please reach me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help with anyone or advise on projects.
And if you are on Instagram, follow me at Latinx Publicist. Well, just Latinx Publicist, not my website, but yes.
Excellent. And I'll make sure that we have all the links in the show notes so everyone can. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right. That wraps up this episode of PRSay. Again, here in the Houston chapter, we are all about networking and connecting and growing as a chapter. So please, please, please make sure you reach out to Alexis and Kacey. I will wrap up this episode by reminding you to hit subscribe if you are listening on the podcast. And if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments and we will catch you